Vaccines, at this time, having just reviewed the recent immunization schedule published by the American Academy of Pediatrics, are far different than they were 20 years ago when I was beginning in this area of pediatrics. We have been very successful in the development of vaccines. We have been very successful in new vaccines and in modifying and improving old ones. As a result, the numbers of vaccines we now give children is far, far greater than we ever did before, and they are far more expensive. It is unrealistic and not appropriate to expect the pediatrician to front end the cost of those vaccines with the hope of getting reimbursed at some percentage by an insurance company. If we want to fully immunize our population, we must figure out a more appropriate way for those vaccines to be paid for so that our children and really our adults can be safe and protected from those multiple viruses and bacteria that we now immunize against. Those countries or states that provide vaccines free of charge, no question the immunization rate is higher, and as a result, the population's healthier and more productive. If you're going to measure value to society, that's the way to look at value to society. The current process by which individual physicians must lay out the money up front to buy the vaccines is absurd and one that will only lead to noncompliance or ways of getting around the system, which will only hurt children and lower the immunization rate, none of which we want to see happen.
So in other words, the pressure of, I should say, the cost that's put on the pediatrician could be greatly reduced if the people who are in the Department of Health or the CDC got together and came up with a system that we deliver the vaccines, but don't pay for the cost of the vaccines. Make sure we follow the guidelines correctly, get audited, we're doing it correctly, maybe get a little small administration because it's labor-intensive recording that would be fair for everybody involved. Is that correct?
Well, I strongly believe, and this is really my opinion, that first, healthcare should be universal. There should be no population who is exposed to a non-insured situation, and I hope that under whatever new administration gets elected, that we're able to have a universal health system for all of our populace, both children and adults. Second, there will be specific types of medications, perhaps, and certainly vaccines would fall under them, that the cost of them would be underwritten by the central government. In my mind, that is a wise use of resources, tax dollars, that citizenry pays, either through Medicare or through its own tax dollars. And it makes perfect sense because that way we can guarantee a higher immunization rate and a healthier society. We know that, for instance, the slippage in vaccinations against pertussis has led to greater pertussis in teenage and adult population. That has decreased quality of life for those adults and even caused some death and certainly illness much greater than it needed to be. We've seen the reemergence of some measles. We've seen the reemergence of some of the bacterial diseases that are preventable. All of that would go away if we had a uniform mechanism by which payment for those vaccines was guaranteed, and therefore administration by the providers, either the adult internists for adults or pediatricians, would also be a guarantee with an administrative fee for the cost it takes to give that vaccine. That will take some universal health care overall and some clear philosophical agreement on the part of our politicians, but it is the way to go.